was Friday, June 5th, 2025. I began my shift at 9 p.m. The typical rush of orders. Dinners, late night, tea runs. Near midnight, I received an order from a small apartment building in F11. Easy address block C, apartment 23. When I accepted, the screen displayed the delivery fee plus a plus 200 PKR nighttime bonus. Nice, but I was exhausted and wanted to call it quits early. Still, money's money. I double-checked the address on Google Maps and left. The roads were deserted, just my bike's engine and a far-off hum of a tuk-tuk. F11's roads were darkly lit, some streetlights flickering. I arrived at block C, parked outside the building. The doors were heavy metal with flaking paint, and the corridor was narrow with uneven flooring tiles. I knocked on apartment 23, no answer. I thought they hadn't listened. I knocked again, thump thump. The door opened, creak a little. A white face appeared, shadowed, eyes dead quiet. She was possibly late 20s. Her clothes seemed old-fashioned, possibly borrowed. She signaled me inside wordlessly. Assalamu alaikum, I added. No response, only gestures with hands. Grudgingly, I entered. The hallway was peculiarly chilly, the tacky white lights humming. Passing by the door, it locked when I did. I stood still. No windows. Every apartment door the same. I got out my phone. No reception. The battery symbol glared at me like a dead eye. I clicked for light. The wobbling beam showed peeling wallpaper, stains, a feeling of decay. She took me down a second narrow hallway past 2 apartment doors. She nodded toward the second. Here, she whispered, voice on the verge of silence. From the blackness beyond, I could see distorted shapes on the walls, what appeared to be footprints smeared in dark something. I battled panic. Here's your order, I said, placing the bag on the ground. No words yet. I moved back towards the hallway, but the door was gone, impenetrable wall. The white woman pointed down the hallway again, encouraging me further. I shook my head. I want to go. She appeared to be hurt. A tear ran down her cheek. She walked me back the way I had come. Suddenly, I caught a distant childish giggle like a toy wind-up doll. I froze. My flashlight trembled. The sound repeated, faint, reverberating from the rear of me. Who's there? I whispered. No answer. We turned a corner, a ruined stairway ascending. She ascended, and I had no other option but to trail behind. Mid-ascent, I picked up the scent of damp soil and decayed wood. Rusted pipes dripped somewhere above us. The building trembled somewhat as a bus rumbled by outside. She stopped at the landing of the first floor, placed her hand against the wall. The wallpaper puffed, moving as though someone was behind it. My heart was racing. I took hold of her arm, firm, fleshy, real. But it was cold. So cold it scorched. Let me out, I gasped, voice shaking. She stared at me, eyes so blank I swayed. Then again, the giggle, but louder, closer, right behind my shoulder. I spun around. Nothing. I caught a glimpse of something moving in the faint, an old picture on the wall, a dirty family portrait. The eyes of the children appeared to track me. Wind. No closed windows. A snicker this time from the painting. I screamed. The woman rushed by me, half running, half sliding, as if the building drew her toward it. I trailed, adrenaline propelling me up another set of stairs to second floor. The hallway there was black as night, wooden boards bowed the floor, creaking beneath every breath. My phone light danced hesitantly. I recalled seeing only a single door, number 23. Now the number seemed smudged. 23 was missing instead of any label at all. She halted in front of a door without a number directly in the middle. She turned to me, lips parting. Thank you, she breathed. She opened the door. I glanced in room, was vacant save for a tarnished mirror on the opposite wall. My reflection appeared strange, hollow-eyed. In the mirror behind me was a small girl, perhaps 6, pale, eyes black voids, in an old frock, red stain near the hem. A gasp spun around, no one there. My reflection remained. The pale woman approached the mirror, but did not look. She simply smiled. I staggered back. Who are you? I gargled. She gazed at me, her face changing, its creases deepening, skin running like wax. We thank you, she croaked, and behind her reflection in the mirror, the little girl reappeared crawling towards me. I ran back down the stairs. Thud, thud, thud was the sound building to screams, tiny twisted. Walls, paintings shook. Slit corridor opened a long, dark tunnel off. I almost fainted, ran into it. Darkness closed in mosquito pieces in my beam of light. The tunnel twisted until it vomited me onto the deserted ground floor lobby. Flickering single lamp above. I dashed to the front door, discovered it was unlocked, burst out into the night, and slammed it shut behind. I panted outdoors. Cold night wind in my face. No door, no corridor. It was just the street empty. I turned around, blocks, it was normal. I wiped sweat. My phone vibrated, delivery, confirmed, with review 5 stars. I gazed. No review, just 5 shining stars. No comment. I arrived home about 1:30 a.m. Heart still hyper fast. I attempted to sleep, but the mirror haunted me. In dreams, I saw the little girl's black eyes, the pale lady's thank you smile. In day, I swore I heard giggles when the phone rang. I called the delivery app and requested information regarding apartment 23 in Block C F11. They informed me there is no Block C at that location. I froze. No such address. I hightailed it back at sunrise. Pat Jalil Apartments Company operates at Blocks A and B only. No CNO apartments after B204. The building seemed new, well-maintained. No deterioration, no additional corridors. I questioned the security guard. He blinked. No one ever occupied at 23. Just rubbish bin locations. I have looked at my delivery history and that order with bonus, but without tip. The app still indicates it was accepted and confirmed. But the next morning the order details are no longer there, completely deleted from my order history. As if it never happened. I even called the bank, no record of that 200 PKR bonus. Tonight we go back to normal. But I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I'm back in that corridor, flashlight flashing, footsteps behind me. The giggles, the mirror eyes. And the thank you slowly forgotten, but searing in my mind. I don't venture out at night now. My bike gathers dust under a tarp. If I close my eyes, I can still hear the wrong order bell, the giggle ringing. Occasionally, I swear I feel cold fingers pass the back of my neck. I've had enough of deliveries. I even resigned from the app. And last night when I opened my phone, there was once more. The 5-star review for that night sent to a non-existent apartment. No comment, just stars. I'm sharing this not because I want pity, I don't. I'm telling you this because maybe, just maybe, something real happened in that building. Something lingering. And I hope no one else answers a knock at Block C apartment 23 ever again. My name is Kevin Reynolds. I've been making late-night food deliveries in Cleveland for roughly 2 years now. It's quick money, and I enjoy the peace after midnight. But after one delivery, I came close to giving it up for good. It was a bitterly cold January evening last year, one of those in which the cold penetrates through your gloves and into your bones. I've been making runs since 6 p.m., and by 1:30 a.m., I was in a mood to wrap things up. But then an order was received. 1 large pepperoni pizza. Nothing unusual about that, except for the delivery address 213 Mill Creek Lane. I scrunched up my face. That area was weird. Old factory district, largely abandoned. But the app told me it was a residential delivery, and it was a $20 tip. I couldn't resist. I accepted. As I drove down the deserted streets, snow began falling more heavily. The farther I drove, the darker the world got. Streetlights flashed or didn't function. I felt as if I were driving into the abyss. When I arrived at Mill Creek Lane, the GPS was struggling. It was continually recalculating. At last it marked the location. I turned down the lane, a narrow, winding road lined with ancient brick warehouses and chain link fences. But per the app, there was one house here, 213. And sure enough, halfway down the lane was an old Victorian house totally out of place. It was dark save for a weak porch light. The snow in the yard was untrodden, no tire marks or footprints. I parked across the street and stared at the house. Something about it made my stomach turn. It looked abandoned, shutters falling off, windows cracked. But someone had ordered pizza. Trying to shake it off, I grabbed the box and headed to the porch. The wooden steps creaked under my feet. I rang the bell. No answer. I knocked. Nothing. I was ready to turn around when I heard the slightest voice behind the door. "Come in." It was weak, young, but off in some way. I stood still. No way. I'm not going into some stranger's house at 2 a.m. "Your pizza's here," I shouted. "You can come pick it up." "Come in." The voice again, slightly louder. My heart pounded. The logical part of me screamed to get out. But $20 meant a lot to me then. I tested the door handle. It rotated. I pushed the door open a fraction. "Hello." The smell hit me first. Wet, moldy, with something metallic such as old blood. "Pizza delivery." I called louder still this time. No response. I was going to just leave the box on the floor and take off when a figure emerged at the far end of the hallway. A girl, 8 or 9. Pale skin, dark matted hair, wearing a soiled white nightgown. She stood rigidly still, staring at me. I put on a forced smile. "Hi there. Is your mom or dad around?" She didn't blink, didn't say anything. Then she raised her hand and pointed upstairs, slowly. "Upstairs," she breathed. I nodded. "I really can't." "Upstairs," she repeated more insistently. There was something about her voice. It sounded odd. My heart was pounding now. All of my instincts were yelling at me to flee. But my legs would not move. Despite my better judgment, I stepped into the room. The door closed behind me. I turned around. The handle would not turn. "Okay, joke's over," I shouted. "Open the door." No response. I turned back toward the hallway. The girl was gone. I stared down the hall, empty. But upstairs I heard faint footsteps. Then a man's voice. "Bring it up." It was deep, slow. I clenched the pizza box and started backing toward the door again, trying to force it open. Nothing. Then the footsteps upstairs got louder. "Bring it up." Panicking, I got out my phone. No signal. No Wi-Fi. I was stuck. The only thing I could think to do was get this over with. Perhaps if I handed them the pizza, they'd release me. I moved quietly towards the stairs. The house was ice cold inside. The walls were lined with peeling wallpaper, water stains running down the walls. Halfway up the stairs, I heard breathing. Heavy, labored. "Bring it up." I made it to the top. There was a long corridor in front of me. Only one door at the far end was open, light escaping. Grasping the pizza like a shield, I moved towards it. The door creaked open further as I stepped forward. Inside was a room stuck in time-yellowed lace, curtains, an antiquated iron bed frame, toys littering the floor. And in the center of the room, sitting on a rocking chair, was a man. Or what remained of him. He was emaciated, skin drawn tight over bone, eyes sunk deep in his skull. His mouth sagged open into a grotesque grin. And beside him stood the girl, her eyes fully black. "Set it down," the man gasped. I couldn't budge. My body froze with fear. "Set it down," he growled. I staggered forward, set the pizza on the floor, and stepped back. Suddenly the girl leaned her head to one side. "Stay," she breathed. The door slammed home behind me. I flung myself at it, hammering, screaming. From behind me, I could hear the rocking chair groan, and the man's voice altered, more guttural, deeper. "You shouldn't have come." I spun around and watched as he stood up from the chair, impossibly tall now, limbs contorted wrong. his mouth opened wider than was humanly possible. I lunged at the door, furiously clawing at the knob. Then the girl's voice screamed in my ear impossibly loud. "Leave!" The door burst open. I stumbled out, scrambled down the stairs, slid on the worn wood. The front door was wide open now. I ran into the snow. I sprinted to my vehicle and closed all the doors. I looked through the windshield. The girl was standing in the doorway, smiling. I hit it hard out of their tires, screeching on the icy road. I went back to check the delivery app. Later, the order had disappeared. No trace of it. No address. Anything. Next day, I went back during daylight. There was no house at 213 Mill Creek Lane. Just an empty lot, overgrown and fenced off. I still drive nights sometimes, but whenever an order pops up in that part of town, I decline. Some things aren't worth the tip. I used to believe that night shifts were the easiest money. Fewer cars, fewer people, and the creepy quiet of the city streets were perfect for my introverted personality. I was a delivery driver for a popular food delivery app, driving around in my old Toyota Corolla. My name is Mark Reynolds, and this occurred 3 years ago. I haven't shared this with many people, and you'll see why soon enough. It was a cold autumn Friday evening in late October. The kind that brings thick fog scouring low across the pavement and headlights barely through the darkness. Already, I had gone out to do a few deliveries, but just after 11 p.m., an order came through that made me gulp. Pick up Mama Rosa's Pizza. Delivery 43, Alder Lane. I scowled. Alder Lane wasn't on my usual route. Indeed, I couldn't even recall seeing it on any map. But the reward was almost 3 times the normal rate. Worth taking over my gut. I arrived at Mama Rosa's, grabbed the order 2 large pizzas, and punched the address into Google Maps. The GPS led me farther and farther out of the city, through winding suburban streets, and eventually onto a narrow 2-lane road surrounded by dense woods. I kept thinking, who orders pizza out here? Finally, the GPS chimed, "You've arrived." No house in view, only a narrow gravel road paralleling the main road. A weathered sign on a creased metal pole, Alder Lane. Better judgment be damned, I took the road. Twigs screeched along the side of the car, and the trees converged, shutting out the little moon there was left. After an eternity, a gap emerged. At the center was a rundown 2-story house, dark windows gazing out like vacant eyes. The porch light was dimly flickering, sending long shadows. I pulled in and looked at the app one more time. The order was labeled prepaid, with a message, "Leave on porch, do not knock." I gulped hard, grabbed the pizzas, and headed toward the house. The air was abnormally quiet. No breeze, no crickets. Silence banging in my ears instead. As I walked up the creaky porch stairs, a funny odor struck me, a combination of mildew-worn wood and something metallic, like blood. I placed the boxes at the door and turned to head back out. That is when I heard it. Thump, thump, thump. Heavy footsteps on the stairs. I stood still, heart pounding. The noise progressed to a window. For an instant, I caught sight of a form, impossibly tall, gaunt, white, standing behind a window. Its head canted unnaturally to the side, eyes black and wet-looking. The porch light flickered and died. I sprinted toward my car keys already in my pocket. I stuck them into the ignition and turned. Click, click. The engine would not start. I attempted again, shaking hands. Click. Suddenly something had smashed into the car. I screamed. A long bony hand with claw-like fingers scraped down the driver's side window, gouging deep furrows. The figure pressed its face to the glass, mouth wide in a grotesque grin full of needle-like teeth. I hurled myself at the passenger door. It swung open, and I rushed blindly into the woods. Branches lashed my face, thorns shredded my clothes, but I did not stop. The creature was behind me. I could hear its ragged, wet gasps. I don't know how long I ran. Time had no meaning. At last I fell into a clearing. My legs failed, and I fell under a down tree. I remained there, gasping, attempting to remain quiet. Minutes ticked by, then hours. The pale light of dawn started to filter through the trees. I gritted up what strength I had remaining and headed back towards the road. When I arrived at the main street, a truck driver who was going by stopped and called the police. They searched around but did not find any house, no path, nothing. When they towed my car out, the deep scratch marks down the side were unmistakable. The pizza boxes were still in it, untouched. I then checked the history of the app's deliveries. The order was missing. No trace. I never made night deliveries after that. Some nights, assistant helps, though I still dream about that face. And when I drive by woods, I swear, sometimes I get glimpses of white figures peering out of the trees.